Hi, Mary Sherwood Savinsky here. So happy you could join us today for a continuing series of discussions on the soft skills that are necessary to be successful in interviewing. And we'll get to that here shortly. First, a little bit about myself. I'm an occupational consultant helping people mainly find work or plan for career goals and prepare resumes and assist people in interview practice and LinkedIn bios and really whatever it takes to help people get back to work or to enjoy what they're doing a little bit more, be a little bit more productive, a little more successful, which is really what we're all trying to do. So anything I can do to help folks accomplish their career goals and make that work part of their life a little more happy and productive, that's what I do. So if you think I might be able to help you, please let me know. When I upload this session to the internet, I'll have all my contact information on there and some helpful free resources that I hope you'll take advantage of, including my blog, jobsearchfortherestofus.com. Hopefully you'll take advantage of the articles there, and on my website, life-works.info. There's also links to other helpful resources and a book that is going to be coming out on Amazon.com this fall, Job Search for the Rest of Us. It's an interactive guide to help make sure you have all the information and knowledge and skills that you need to be successful in your job search. Most of the clients that I work with know pieces here and there of the information that I'm sharing in the interactive guide, but it is helpful to know that you have everything that you need to be successful in this really competitive environment that we're looking for work in or looking to move up in. And if you do take a look at that, I think you might find that you would benefit from the interactive guide, as many of my clients have. If you have any questions though about any of the services that I offer, or if you're not sure if I might be able to help you, please feel free to request an initial evaluation consultation, no charge, 15 minutes. You can schedule it very easily from my website, and that's life-works.info again. But I will post this online with the slides with all the contact information and websites where you can access additional information as well. So today we're going to continue in our series of discussions on interviewing, and you know, if you've been following along, you probably definitely have a far better understanding of what it means to prepare for an interview, because there's really a lot to think about it. And in this series we're really talking about mainly soft skills. So you know, there's more nuts and bolts to interviewing than we're talking about. We're really just grazing the surface when we talk about soft skills, and these are the skills that really a lot of people assume that the job seeker already has, and that may or may not be the case. So I've really tried to break it down and to make sure that I've made it very clear some of the things that you need to think about in preparing for an interview, some of the things you need to do during the interview as well as following up. So let's go ahead and get started and talk about this current tip, which is to ask questions. And in order to have the interview not feel like an inquisition, it is important to ask questions. You want to have the interview feel like more of a conversation where you're relaxed and the interviewer is relaxed. A lot of times the interviewer is not terribly relaxed. They may not interview often. They may not interview well. Many employers might not even like interviewing, so they may not do the best. If you can put them at their ease, that's going to go a long way towards helping you look like somebody that they can work with and talk to and look forward to interacting with. If they have a pleasant experience during the interview, they might think, hey, you know, I could work with this person. I could see them on a daily basis. Or their teammates could work with them and interact with them well because, you know, hey, it was a pleasant conversation. So make sure and do approach the interview overall as if it is a conversation, and an easy way to do that is by asking questions. If you listen and you respond and interact with the interviewer, they'll do the same. And that's how it becomes kind of a more fluid conversation rather than an interrogation. And you can really kind of take control of the interview and the tone of the interview by asking questions and making it feel more like a conversation. And again, the interviewer is going to come away feeling very comfortable with you and looking forward to additional interaction with you rather than another interview session under my belt. Because they may have many in the course of making a decision for even a single position. So make it easy for them, and make yourself appear as attractive as you can by asking some questions and taking on a conversational tone. Now, one of the most common reactions that I get when I tell people this is they'll say to me right away, I thought I wasn't supposed to ask about salary or benefits during the first interview. And that's right, you're not. I don't know, well, what mindset makes them take that leap. Perhaps you took that leap as well. And I imagine that the benefits and the pay is, a question that you have, and it's an important one and something you probably are focused on, but that is the last message that you want to send to the employer, is that you're just there for what you can get out of them. You want to make an effort to connect with them and sell yourself to them, how you can benefit them. And the bottom line is there are other things that you're interested in knowing about the company too. And I bet you once I throw out a couple of questions, you'll agree with me about that. You may not be able to think of any off the top of your head right now, but I think it'll make a lot of sense to you as we talk about some of the questions that you could ask a potential employer during an interview. First, think about the position itself. Wouldn't you like to know what a typical day is like for a person in this position? You could always ask that, and that's a very simple question to pose to the employer and something that makes a lot of sense to ask. You'd like to get a better idea of what the position entails so that you can better sell yourself to the employer. So you would simply ask, hey, can you tell me a little bit about what a day looks like for a person in this position? How is the day structured? How do you envision this person in a day or even in a week, depending on the type of role it is? You might ask if there's an opportunity to shadow somebody doing this job. Employers really love to talk about their companies, especially if they enjoy working there and you hope to be working for a company, I'm sure, that's like that. So, ask them if you can maybe follow someone around for a day and get a really good idea of what the position is like and what it entails. And that will give you a ton of information about not only the position but the company as well, and the culture and so forth. We'll talk about questions you can ask to get at that. But the worst that can happen is they might say, no, that's just not possible. But even if they do that, you will come across appearing interested and thoughtful and inquisitive. Obviously, a person that wants to know more and is very interested in this position. So you have nothing to lose, even if they say no. So go ahead and ask. It won't hurt. Another question you might ask the interviewer is what he or she considers to be, the most important contribution a person in this position makes to the company. Where does this person fit into the overall scheme of things? And what is the biggest challenge for this position, or for a person in this position rather, or what's the biggest task that needs to be achieved, and why? How does this person in this position fit into the overall functioning of the company? That's definitely something you want to ask and that you want to know. So again, you know better how to sell yourself during the interview, or in a follow-up interview or thank you letter. So the more information you can get during an interview, especially if it's a first interview, the better off you're going to be. And you can get more information by asking questions rather than just relying on the interviewer to give you information. A lot of interviewers are quite good at that, and they will give you what you need to know. But not all of them are, so do be prepared to be thoughtful and ask some questions of the interviewer. And how about the company? You know, you'd probably like to know a little bit more about the company than you were able to find on the internet. Of course, you're going to research the company, right? You're going to get online and glean as much information you can about the culture, about what's currently going on, what their mission statement is, maybe even read some business journal articles or evaluations by other companies, or even other interviewers. You know, Glassdoor, lots of times people will access their site to find out what other interviewees have said about interviewing with a company in the past. So you've done all that, sure, but you want to ask the potential employer or interviewer, you know, what they can share beyond that. You want to make it clear you've done your research, you've done your homework, yes, but what can they share that's maybe not that public or that obvious to somebody just having done research on the internet or through reading in journals or newspapers. And if they don't really have anything to add, again, they'll at least know that you're interested enough to ask. So that's a good thing. And you know, you might want to ask directly at least, you know, about the culture. You know, how do people communicate with a person in this position? Is it more of a team environment, kind of an open floor plan? Is everybody in cubbies, or you know, are there daily meetings where everybody gets together, makes a plan, goes and does their piece, and then comes back together to assess where they are? How do you fit in, and how do you communicate with your teammates and or your boss? Email, phone, in person? Are you right there, sitting at the same table all day? These are things that you want to know, again, so that you know how to answer your questions during the remainder of the interview, and can include in a follow-up interview or thank you letter. So don't be afraid to ask. And yes, you want to be careful not to ask in a way that makes you look like you didn't think about it. So be careful of that, surely. But truly, there's no dumb questions. Just be sure to word your questions in a way that shows that you're thoughtful about the questions that you're asking and the information that you want to gain by asking the question. A big thing that you can do during an interview to really connect with the interviewer and also obtain additional information is to ask what brought him or her to work for the company. People like to talk about themselves, and if you know you can get them talking about themselves or what they like, they're really going to remember you a lot more fondly than they might somebody else who did not. So that even if everything's equal and you have the same exact skills as another candidate or another couple of candidates, you are going to stand out over and above them because the interviewer has warm fuzzies after the interview, and they may not be able to explain it or put their finger on it exactly why they like you over another candidate, but they'll come away feeling like, you know, I like that Joe Bob. He was a smart one, I can tell. And it might be mainly because you got them talking about themselves, and people don't often realize that in the end, but that's often what happens. So get them talking about themselves. What do they like best about the company now that they're there? What do they feel like is the selling point for the company, so that you can get a really good idea of what's going on at the company and how they view themselves and portray themselves to others too. You can ask if the interviewer can give you feedback as a potential candidate. Ask, you know, Mr. Employer, if you were me and you really wanted this position, what advice, what would you do? What advice can you give me that would make me a better candidate for this position, or in the future for other positions with this company, because I'd really like to work for this company. It seems like a great company to work for. So ask for their advice. You know, and it's hard, but you can ask for their feedback on your interviewing as well. And that will again show that you're, you know, open to evaluation and constructive criticism, and that you're not braggadocious and thinking that you're all that. You're able to take feedback and to communicate and give and take, and those are important qualities that employers are looking for. So again, ask questions during your interview. It will allow you to take on a conversational tone that'll put not only yourself at ease a little bit more, but the interviewer as well, so that it really feels a lot more comfortable and more pleasant for both parties. It shows that you're truly interested in the position, that you're not just going through the motions because you're applying for any old job. It shows that you're interested in this particular position with this particular company, and that you're thoughtful and want to know and willing to ask questions. So it really does communicate a lot of information to the employer, and does more for you than just give you information, although that's important too, because you do want that information again so that you can use it during a second interview, or in a follow-up thank you letter. You'll have a little bit more to mention during the interview, and you know, just make everything go a little bit more smoothly for you, and send the message that you really want to work for this company and that you're really very interested in the position. So just to recap a little bit, so far during this series we've talked about a lot of things. Over preparing rather than just practicing for an interview. You really want to over prepare. You can't practice too much for an interview, and you really want to start out writing your answers down to your questions so that you can edit them as you practice and really fine-tune your statements and your answers and practice them so that you can come across smoothly during an interview. You want to take notes during an interview, and bring some very, very small brief notes in with you, and be prepared to write things down so that you can keep track of any questions that you do come up with during the interview. And it may not be at a time where you want to interrupt and ask a question, but you want to keep track of it so that you can jot it down and bring it up during the interview a little later on. You want to wear appropriate and comfortable clothes, of course, and you know, just buying a new outfit and trying it on once really isn't enough. You want to give it a little test run, make sure you can sit, stand, and walk in the outfit comfortably, and do that within a day or two of the interview. Don't do that a month before and then expect everything to be hunky-dory the day of the interview. Things change. You could have gained a couple of pounds, lost a couple of pounds. Last thing you want to do is to be tugging or twitching with your outfit during an interview. You'll feel uncomfortable, and you'll distract the interviewer and yourself from the interview, which you do not want. You want to visit the location of the interview ahead of time. Make sure that there's no construction. Make sure that you can find the actual suite if it's in a large office building. Sometimes the directories or even the directions for the internal offices are not that clear, so you want to make sure that you're going to allow yourself plenty of time. And that little reconnaissance can also give you additional information about what to expect in terms of the dress and the attire at the location that you're going to for the company that you're interviewing with, and give you some clues about their culture too, so that you can be a little bit more knowledgeable during the course of the interview. You want to relax. You know, the night before the interview is not the time to practice your interview questions. By then you should have them all practiced, be ready to go. Your outfit's laid out, everything's ready, you know how to get to the interview location. So just relax, drink plenty of water, eat a good meal, get up plenty early, have breakfast, Don't drink too much coffee, and again, do drink water, because you'd be surprised how much of a difference water makes in allowing your nerves to communicate, your brain cells to communicate with each other. So water is very important. Try to practice not saying if you have another bad habit. Some people will repeat the same phrase multiple times in a conversation. I know a gentleman who says "in other words" like 50 times. Every time I hear him speak, he says "in other words" instead of I think, and it really gets distracting after a while. So if you do have a habit like or you're naturally shy and you're uncomfortable speaking, really practice doing something instead of saying just breathe in, take a breath while you're thinking, instead of saying it's okay to say it a couple of times. Don't beat yourself up, but you do not want to say too much. You'll just appear that you're not well spoken, or that you can't put your words together well, and that's not a message that you want to send. If you do need to think during an interview and you're worried that you need to fill the space because you don't want the employer to feel like you've spaced out, that rarely happens. They want you to think about the answers to your questions, trust me. But if you're concerned about it and you do need to take a little extra time maybe to answer a question, you can put your hand on your chin to indicate that you're thinking, or a lot of people will just give a small tug to their ear or something like that, just to send a nonverbal message that you're thinking about it. Again, the employer really wants you to think about your answers, so probably the interviewees worry about it more than they need to, I think, but that's a little tip that you can do if you are worried about filling in some space. You can also ask them to rephrase the question. Don't do that too often because you'll look as if you're not paying attention, but you can just say, I really want to make sure that I'm answering the question that you're asking me. Do you mind asking me again, or rephrasing it if perhaps you didn't understand what they were asking you for? That's fine, because you do want to answer the question that they're asking. Often people do not do that during the interview. They think in their head what question the interviewer's asking when they're asking an entirely different question often. So make sure you answer the question that they are asking. Smile. People get nervous, and they can go through the entire interview and never smile, and this can send a really incorrect nonverbal message that you're not a very happy person, when in fact you may be. But because you're nervous, you might hold your lips together and not smile. Again, the interviewer maybe is not comfortable interviewing either, so if you smile, they'll be a little bit more relaxed and smile as well. It's okay to appear happy during the interview, really. And of course, this time we talked a little bit about asking questions, so we won't reiterate that. I do have all these posted on YouTube on this site once you're watching it, and I do have a series of articles also posted on examiner.com, and have links to all the written information that goes with this. And if you're watching this on YouTube right now, you'll see that there will be slides following this presentation that contain my contact information and some sites for free resources, my blog, jobsearchfortherestofus.com, and my website, life-works.info, where you can obtain further contact information for me, and also free resources that hopefully you will take advantage of. I really do consider myself a resource and am really looking to offer information to help job seekers improve and make an actual plan, not only for their return to work if they're not working, but also to understand the importance of planning your career and not just kind of letting the chips fall where they may and going along with whatever comes up. That's not the way to do it. If you make a plan and you work at it, you're going to be more likely to see opportunities that are a good match for you and that you're going to be happy with. And if you get into a position that is a good match for you, you're going to be more successful and the employer is going to be more happy with you. So do make a plan and set some dates to them that you can always change them. Set an anniversary if you're not working, you know, and review every week or every month what you're doing and are you doing everything you need to do. And if you're actively looking for another position. If you're not and you are currently working and thinking about making a change, you know, assess where you are and where you want to be, and always consider not only what you're good at but what you really enjoy, and find a way to do that. You're going to be just a lot more successful. If you're not sure if I can help you or not, ask me. I'm happy to answer you and answer quick questions on email all the time. I'm on Skype, Mary.E.Sherwood. You can reach out to me there. You can find me on Live Person, chat with me there, or email me at lifeworks@mail.com. Happy to let you know, hey, I can help you. No, I can't, but here's a good resource. Or yes, I can do that, and here's a typical charge for that if it's something that I would need to charge you for. But again, if you're not sure, just reach out and ask, and I'll be happy to let you know anything I can for free. And if it's something that does take me a little bit of time, how much I might charge for that, or one of my associates might charge in the case that you know, I'm not available myself. Thanks again for following on these series of interview tips. I think it's really important that you feel comfortable and confident, and by having the information that you need to be successful, I think that is what you're going to be.